Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. This video, as you can tell from the title, is going to be my worst books of 2025. I know I'm late to the party. If you want to know why, go back to the best of 2025 video. Check it out. I explain a little bit as to why I am late to the party. So, as the way that I chose my 10 worst books that I read in 2025 is I just went onto Goodreads and I went by what I rated it, and I just picked the lowest ones that I rated, not the general rating, but my rating. So I am getting increasingly better with DNFing books, I think. Books that just I'm not going to give a good rating to. I'm not going to enjoy this time. Why am I doing this to myself? So, I don't have any, I don't have any 1-star ratings or anything. So yeah, I guess we'll start with 2-star ratings, and I have 2 of those. So, The Chrysalids by John Wyndham, I gave 2 stars. I actually read this one in high school. I remember not liking it, but I didn't remember the book. So I read it again, and guess what? Didn't like it. So, gave it a 2-star, don't recommend. The next one that is 2-star is Mort by Terry Pratchett. I've been disappointed with Terry Pratchett, and you'll see that in another book on this list. The first 2 books I read from the Discworld series, I didn't read them in order, but the first 2 that I did read, I actually quite liked. It surprised me because I didn't expect to like Terry Pratchett, and I liked those 2. But all of the Discworld books that I've read since then, I haven't really liked, and I don't know what's going on. So, Mort, didn't care for it. I feel like there's another book on this list. I feel like both of them are just missing the charm from the books that I've previously read. So yeah, let's see. The next lowest rating is a 2.5. So, Leaven of Malice by Robertson Davies. I feel like I'm rating this one a little too low, because when I think back on the story, and I do remember the story decently well, I don't remember hating it. So I don't know if this rating should be changed or not, but it is an older book, one that I had never heard of the author or anything. I just randomly picked it up at the thrift store, and the little blurb on the front to me didn't match the contents of the book, so that was disappointing. Another 2.5-star is The Coming of Mr. Quinn, which is an Agatha Christie short story. I was kind of bored with this one, but also I felt like it was too much and too short of a story. I feel like it could have been done better if she had made this one a full novel. So there's that. And then another 2.5-star is The Clergyman's Daughter, also known as The Red House by Agatha Christie. This is another short story. This is a Tommy and Tuppence, and I typically don't care for the Tommy and Tuppence stories. This one did have a pretty good start to it, but there was no ending. Not that it didn't end, it's just you're reading a story and then all of a sudden the end. It's wait, it's over? What? Didn't like that. So that one got a 2.5-star. And now we are up to 2.75-star. So we're still below 3-star. Guards, Terry Pratchett. That is a funny one because if you know even a little bit of what people think about Terry Pratchett's Discworld, Guards is more often than not people's favorite in the Discworld series. So I had really high expectations, and I was just so disappointed. I felt like it wasn't charming at all, and that is part of this Discworld vibe. It should be very charming because it's wacky and weird, and it just wasn't there for this one. So I don't understand why it's people's favorite Discworld book. Another one is When We Were Young by A.A. Milne. If you don't know, A.A. Milne wrote Winnie the Pooh. This one I didn't like. It was like, it's a rhyming, no, not rhyming. It's a poetry book, a little bit like short story type book, mostly poetry if I can remember correctly. And the things that I didn't like about it were, it was very repetitive. Like, he used so many lines over and over and over in the same poem, in different poems. Like, it was so repetitive. And then also, it didn't rhyme. And so I feel like, yes, poetry doesn't have to rhyme. Yes, I get that. But I feel like the flow of poetry is a lot easier to achieve when it does rhyme. And so these ones didn't rhyme, and I didn't really like it, and I don't know, just didn't do it for me. I also have The Tropic of Serpents, which is number 2 in the Memoirs of Lady Trent by Marie Brennan. I'm chuckling because book 1 in this series is actually in my top 10 of 2025. So it's interesting that the second book in the series is in my bottom 10 of 2025. This one I gave a 2.75. I just didn't like it. There was like very little dragons, and I didn't like it. So the parts that I did like about the first book weren't really evident in the second book. And the last one for you for my worst reads of 2025 is another Agatha Christie short story called A Christmas Tragedy. And this one, I was just bored. A lot of the Agatha Christie short stories, most of them I would say don't really work for me. Short stories in general are hard for me to latch onto because by the time, if I feel any investment at all, then it ends right away. But a lot of them I just find boring. And I don't know if that's just the nature of short story writing. I don't know if there's something about that, that you feel like you don't have enough space to like write something really interesting, so it ends up being boring, or I don't really know. But that's kind of how I feel. Although I do I did find one of my favorite Agatha Christie short stories in 2025. So that's kind of, it's an exception to the rule, I would say. So those are the worst books that I read. Have you read any of them? I have a sneaking suspicion a lot of you have read The Chrysalids by John Wyndham. So I'm curious what you guys think of that book. But if you have read any of these other ones, let me know what you think. Oh, I think I missed one. I totally missed one. Okay, I'm just seeing this on my list. Okay, yes, there's one more. I guess I just told you about 9. Oops. Splintered by A.G. Howard. This one I gave 2.75. This one is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, YA, fantasy, mainstream. I really like Alice in Wonderland, and typically I like Alice in Wonderland retellings, but this one, right off the bat, was in first person present tense. 2 things I do not like, and especially not together. So I first of all had a really hard time listening to this one, but I felt like I had to read it because it was in my 40 books to read before I turned 40. I'll link that video. But so I felt like I had to read it anyway, and it was a difficult experience. And also I didn't like the story. So anyway, so just quickly add that one in there. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know of some of your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you in whatever comes next. Bye!